Welcome to the Shadow of History channel. Be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out more videos like this one. In the Bolivian jungle on October 9, 1967, CIA agent Felix Rodriguez stands alongside soldiers and their captive revolutionary Che Guevara. This haunting photograph captures the final moments of his life, taken just before his execution. Travel back to 1955 to witness the Las Vegas Strip during its golden age. The glowing neon lights and vintage cars mark the early days of a desert town evolving into the world's entertainment capital. On May 20, 1910, a truly unique gathering took place in London. For the first and only time, the 9 reigning kings of Europe stood together for a photograph during the funeral of King Edward II. Witness the sheer joy and relief of 1945. These soldiers are crowded onto a ship, finally returning home after the conclusion of World War II, marking the end of a long and devastating global conflict. Look at the sheer audacity of human fly. George Willig in 1977. He scaled the World Trade Center's South Tower in just hours, only to be arrested and fined a mere penny for every floor. Tension fills the streets of New York City on July 7, 1941. This protest captures the anxious mood of the American public, occurring just months before the country would officially enter the Second World War. Here stands Cetshwayo, the formidable king of the Zulu kingdom. This powerful leader is best known for famously defeating the British forces at the Battle of Isandlwana in 1878, shocking the entire British Empire. Art protection took extreme forms during the chaos of World War II. Here, Michelangelo's masterpiece. The statue of David is completely encased in a brick tower to shield the sculpture from potential bomb damage. In West Germany, 1951, the shadows of the past linger on a crowd of Nazi sympathizers gathers outside Landsberg prison to demand amnesty, clashing with Jewish counter-protesters in a disturbing display of post-war tension. Peer into the forbidden chambers of the U.S. Supreme Court. In 1937, since cameras were banned, a young woman hid a lens in her handbag to capture one of only 2 existing photographs of the session. In 1991, Princess Diana changed public perception with a single gesture by shaking hands with an AIDS patient. Without wearing gloves, she challenged the stigma and fear surrounding the disease in a truly powerful moment. The heartbreak of conflict is clearly etched on this father's face. In 1999, he searches desperately for his 2 sons who went missing during the chaos of the Kosovo War, representing the pain of loss. This solemn image remembers Lavenna Johnson, a soldier found dead in her tent on July 19, 2005. Her death marks a tragic and controversial moment in military history that continues to spark debate today. On June 26, 1994, a rainbow river flowed through New York City. Gay activists carried a mile-long banner to mark the 25th anniversary of the Stonewall riots, celebrating a quarter-century of the fight for equality. History often collides with personal moments. This young girl celebrates her birthday, completely unaware that in the background, the tragic events of September 11th are unfolding live on television, forever changing the world around her. Time transforms a landscape in Francis Street, Seaham. This comparison shows the location in the 1950s alongside its modern appearance, highlighting the dramatic evolution of the United Kingdom's towns over several decades of change. Cultural exchange can be amusing. In the 1950s, a Frenchman reacts to his very first taste of Coca-Cola, capturing a moment of culinary globalization as American brands began to spread across the European continent. The power of the ocean is undeniable. In June 1945, the USS Pittsburgh is photographed struggling through the waves, missing its entire bow after a typhoon tore through the Pacific, showcasing nature's immense force. Preserved at the National Maritime Museum in London is a piece of naval history. This coat was worn by Admiral Nelson at the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805, still bearing the fatal musket hole. Amidst the war in 1944, humanity persists. A French soldier and an American GI share a simple slice of bread, symbolizing the alliance and camaraderie between the liberating forces fighting for a common cause. Ancient engineering was often surprisingly advanced. These ceramic water pipes found near Yipang Palace in China date back to between the 5th and 3rd centuries BC, proving the sophistication of early infrastructure systems. Look back to 1918 in Tsaritsyn. This image captures a younger Joseph Stalin during the Russian Civil War, taken years before he would become the absolute leader who defined the Soviet Union's future path. Step onto the streets of Lincoln, Nebraska in the early 1900s. These two Bart gentlemen showcase the fashion and demeanor of the turn of the century, offering a glimpse into life in the American Midwest. Cultural barriers break down in Moscow. 1988, Arnold Schwarzenegger meets with excited fans, bringing a touch of Hollywood action stardom to the Soviet Union just before the end of the Cold War era began. In 1932, two future titans of American history stand side by side. Army Chief of Staff General Douglas MacArthur is pictured with Colonel Dwight Eisenhower long before their World War II fame would emerge. Enjoy a quiet afternoon in the 1910s. These ladies in a park pause to look at the photographer, offering a candid glimpse into Edwardian leisure and the distinctive fashion of a truly bygone era. This dignified portrait from 1899 features Richard White Bull of the Oglala Sioux. It preserves the image of a Native American figure at the turn of the century, capturing a moment of profound history. In September 1945, the war is finally over. Japanese soldiers are seen throwing ammunition into the sea, a symbolic and practical act performed during the historic disarmament of Japan following their unconditional surrender. Photography was in its infancy. Here, this portrait of a Victorian lady dates back to 1840, capturing the dress and style of the early 19th century in one of the earliest surviving photographs ever taken. Even in captivity, life goes on. Italian prisoners of war in Tunisia passed the time by playing cards during the North African campaign of 1943, finding a small moment of normalcy amidst the conflict. Spanning over a century, these images compare Newcastle's Central Station in the UK. The architecture remains a constant backdrop to the changing generations of travelers who have passed through its historic halls over time. Amidst the destruction of the German Blitz in 1940, a young boy finds an escape. He sits reading calmly among the ruins of a London library, a testament to resilience during the darkest days. The economic collapse of 1923, Germany created surreal scenes. Here, children fly a kite made entirely of worthless banknotes, illustrating the severity of hyperinflation, where currency had even less value than the paper itself. On the steps of New York City Hall in October 1927, cultures meet. Mayor Jimmy Walker stands with members of the Blackfeet Nation tribe for Pond, a formal photograph bridging two very different worlds together. Tension on the high seas peaks in 1962. A U.S. naval ship intercepts a Soviet freighter bound for Cuba, a critical moment during the Cuban Missile Crisis that almost brought the world to war. In 1915, the Great War expands. German soldiers are photographed marching into Serbia, marking another front in the devastating conflict that would reshape the borders and politics of Europe for many decades to come. The selfie isn't a modern invention around 1900. This woman used a mirror to capture her own reflection, pioneering a photography trend over a century early and proving vanity is timeless in human history. Between 1864 and 1877, in Stockholm, a father reassures his little girl at a photography studio. This captures a tender, timeless parenting moment, freezing a bond of love that transcends the passing centuries. In the 1950s, atomic culture reached strange heights. Lee Merlin poses here as the winner of the Miss Atomic Bomb pageant in Las Vegas, showcasing the era's bizarre fascination with nuclear power and destruction. View the changes in Bristol's infrastructure. These images show the Clifton Rocks Railway in 1905 compared to its condition today, highlighting how transport needs and urban landscapes have shifted over the last 100 years. A few days after D-Day, the logistics of war continue. Landing craft and ships are busy unloading troops and supplies at Omaha Beach to support the invasion of Europe and the push towards victory. Racing against time, former U.S. President Ulysses S. Grant sits writing his memoirs in 1885, suffering from cancer. He completed this work just weeks before his death, securing his family financial future forevermore. The end of an era is found in a trash can in June 1991. A school dustbin in Hellersdorf, East Berlin, is filled with discarded communist materials the day after the ideology finally fell. Football culture in the 1970s had a distinct look. These Manchester United fans from 1975 display the fashion and passion of the terraces, capturing the spirit of the game during a very different era. Car accessories were different in 1959. This Volkswagen Beetle features a dashboard coffee maker option, a quirky luxury for the mid-century driver that illustrates the unique and creative gadgets of the post-war period. On January 16, 1942, Prime Minister Winston Churchill takes the controls. He is pictured in the cockpit of a Boeing 314A flying boat during a transatlantic journey, showing his adventurous spirit during wartime. The divide is physical and psychological. In 1961, East Berlin policemen are caught attentively monitoring a photographer standing on the western side of the newly erected wall, highlighting the tension of the Cold War. Step back to Charlottesville, Virginia, around 1916. This sweet photo captures a brother and sister freezing a moment of childhood from the early 20th century that resonates with the innocence of youth, even today. This is a terrifying piece of history. It is a Mk-39 thermonuclear bomb accidentally dropped from a B-52 over Goldsboro, North Carolina in 1961, narrowly avoiding a catastrophe after the plane broke apart. In the 1980s, Manute Bol dominated the college basketball court, standing at 7 feet 7 inches. He makes the hoop look incredibly low while defending, showcasing his massive physical advantage over the other players. The American dream looked affordable in 1955. This housing advertisement for Miami, Florida, highlights the low costs that allowed home ownership to boom in the post-war era, creating a new standard for middle-class living. New York City often looks like a movie set. This surreal view from 1982, taken from the Warwick Hotel on 54th Street, captures the unique atmosphere of the city that never sleeps or slows down. Technology moves fast. A Google ad from 1999 serves as a humble reminder of the search engine's early days before it dominated the internet, showing how far digital innovation has come in 20 years. Tourism regulations were looser in 1981. An Egyptian man is photographed calmly smoking a cigarette at the very top of the Pyramid of Giza, a site that is strictly prohibited for safety today. Observe the evolution of an artist's mind. These images show the very first self-portrait of Pablo Picasso from 1896, alongside his final one from 1972, revealing a lifetime of stylistic change and artistic growth. A family portrait rests on the lunar surface. In 1972, Apollo 16 astronaut Charles Duke left a photo of himself, his wife, and his 2 sons on the moon, where it remains to this day. In the 1980s, the future of flight was supersonic here. The entire British Airways Concorde fleet is gathered together, representing the pinnacle of commercial aviation engineering before the era of supersonic travel eventually ended. Fast food had a different vibe in the 70s. This photo of a McDonald's in 1976 captures the decor and atmosphere that many grew up with. invoking a strong sense of nostalgia for diners. Nostalgia hits hard with this interior. Almost every house in the 1980s seemed to have a room that looked exactly like this, defined by the wood paneling and furniture style characteristic of that decade. Large families were a hallmark of the baby boom. On Palm Sunday in 1954, a married couple poses proudly with their 11 children, capturing the family dynamics common in the mid-20th century American era. Stand beneath the power of the Soviet space program, a man poses in front of a massive Soyuz rocket at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in the 1980s, illustrating the scale of Cold War space exploration. Look closely at the handwriting of a genius. This page comes from Albert Einstein's 1912 notebook, detailing his developing work on the theory of relativity, giving us a glimpse into the mind of a legend. Post-war youth is captured in this portrait. A teenage student poses for the camera in 1947, representing the generation that would rebuild the world full of hope and determination after the years of war. Check the prices in this Crichton's grocery store ad from the 1970s. It offers a stark contrast to the cost of living we experience today, showing just how much inflation has changed our economy. Before she stood in the harbor, she was in pieces. This photo from 1885 shows the face of the Statue of Liberty during unpacking, looking slightly terrifying on the ground before the final assembly. In the mid-90s, computing took a leap forward. These photos capture a top-of-the-line setup and the hysteria surrounding the launch of Windows 95, marking the moment when personal computers became a true household necessity. Before screenshots, we had this in the 1970s. Taking a photograph of the television screen was the only way to capture a broadcast moment, a primitive method compared to the digital tools we use today. The swinging 60s loved a pun in 1962. A girl in a miniskirt poses next to a Mini Cooper, defining the fashion and automotive trends of the era in a neat, single, iconic image. Police partners come in all shapes. In 1930, an officer rides his motorcycle with his dog perched confidently on the handlebars, showcasing a bond between man and animal that goes beyond the call of duty. Another early pioneer of the selfie appears here. A smiling lady from the early 1900s captures her own reflection in a mirror, proving that the desire to document oneself is not just a modern trend. Tennis fashion was bold in the late 80s. In 1988, Andre Agassi takes the court sporting iconic stonewashed jean shorts, challenging the traditional dress codes of the sport with his unique and rebellious style. Behold the brutalism of early portable computing. The Compaq LTE 386 from 1990 was one of the first computers the size of a paper notebook, changing the industry forever and paving the way for laptops. Mobile technology had to start somewhere. In 1973, Motorola Vice President John F. Mitchell shows off the Dynatac portable radio telephone on the streets of New York, marking the birth of the mobile phone era. Zoo hygiene looks different for a giant at the Berlin Zoo. Around 1930, Roland, a 4,000-pound elephant seal, gets a snow bath from his handler, delighting crowds with this unusual and playful winter scene. This famous photograph is titled "Into the Jaws of Death." It captures the harrowing moment American troops disembarked onto the beaches of Normandy on June 6, 1944, facing enemy fire to liberate occupied France. Hollywood elegance is personified here. This 1955 photograph captures Grace Kelly at the height of her film career before she became the Princess of Monaco, leaving behind Tinseltown for a life of royal duty. Respect and romance mingle in Washington, D.C. A sailor and a girl visit the tomb of the unknown soldier in May 1943, paying their respects during a time when love and loss were intertwined. Propaganda art tells a story of vengeance. This 1968 Soviet poster is titled "The Payback," illustrating the lingering emotions of the era and the powerful use of imagery to influence public opinion during conflicts. The horrors of post-war famine are undeniable. In 1946, photographer George Silk captured this emaciated boy begging for food in front of a black market rice shop in China, exposing the suffering of innocence. Travel photography has evolved in 1924. This is how Egyptian tourists viewed the Sphinx and pyramids, providing a vintage perspective on these ancient wonders that have stood the test of time for many millennia. Even James Bond takes a break on the set of Dr. No. In the 1960s, Sean Connery signs a coconut for a young Jamaican girl, showing the lighter side of filming the iconic spy movie. Worlds collide in this relationship. Marilyn Monroe is pictured here with her husband, playwright Arthur Miller, the author of Death of a Salesman, pairing Hollywood glamour with intellectual prowess in a highly publicized marriage. The quest for speed led to wild inventions. In 1928, Fritz von Opel is photographed with his experimental rocket car, pushing the boundaries of automotive engineering with a design that looks straight from science fiction. Engineering feats required nerves of steel. In 1915, a massive engine is swung across a canyon over the Rio Grande River in New Mexico, demonstrating the daring logistics required to build infrastructure in rugged terrain. Comedy in the mid-60s often played on domestic tropes. This image from 1965 humorously warns husbands, "Don't let your wife do your hair," reflecting the lighthearted yet gender-stereotyped humor common in media of that time. Thrill rides have a long history. In 1915, Lamarcus A. Thompson and his crew test the giant roller coaster at Coney Island, ensuring it was safe for the public to enjoy the adrenaline rush. Disaster struck the New York skyline on July 28, 1945. This image shows the aftermath of a B-25 Mitchell bomber crashing into the Empire State, building a tragic accident that stunned the entire city. Ancient history stands tall. In 1915, this photograph captures the ziggurat of Dur Karigalzu in modern-day Iraq, a structure built back in 1400 BC, surviving as a lonely sentinel of a civilization that is long past. By 1928, the mouse was already a star. A costumed Mickey Mouse sits atop a massive pile of fan mail received from admirers around the world, proving the instant global appeal of Disney's creation. Humor finds a way even in war. In 1915, French troops march past a dog dressed up as a German officer, complete with goggles and a pipe, providing a moment of levity amidst the fighting. Silent and deep, the Cold War played out underwater. This is the U.S. nuclear attack submarine USS Snook, photographed in 1961, representing the hidden and dangerous game of cat and mouse beneath the ocean surface. Before automation bowling required manpower, these pinboys are hard at work manually resetting the lanes in New York City, 1910, performing the backbreaking labor that was eventually replaced by modern machinery we see today. Don't mess with the housewives of Veers Mill Village in 1950 after being terrorized by night marauders. These women armed themselves with guns and bats to defend their homes, showing remarkable courage and community spirit. Street trades were once common in Britain. In the 1920s, a traveling knife grinder sharpens blades for customers on the go, a profession that has largely vanished from modern streets due to changing habits. Some sports are better left in the past. This image depicts a peculiar event described as synchronized neck breaking, which thankfully never really caught on, remaining a bizarre footnote in the history of athletic trends. Small-town entertainment was a big deal in 1915. The Humansville Concert Band from Missouri poses ready to perform a Wild West show, capturing the community spirit and musical culture of early American rural life. Stranded in the ice morale was everything. On February 16, 1915, the men of the Endurance play football on the ice after their final attempt to free the ship failed, keeping their spirits alive. The sounds of New Orleans in 1925 included street performers here. An organ grinder entertains passers-by on Bourbon Street, adding to the rich musical tapestry of the city, known for its vibrant jazz culture. In 1974, Mary Jane Rathbun had a side hustle while waitressing at IHOP. She became known in the Castro for selling magical cannabis-laced brownies from a basket, becoming a legendary figure in the activist community. Even politicians need a lift. In 1915, an early Senate subway car carries passengers between the Capitol and the Senate office building, showing how transport solutions were implemented for government officials over a century ago. A television icon is remembered here. This image pays tribute to Mary Tyler Moore, who brought laughter to millions from 1936 to 2017, revolutionizing the portrayal of women on television with her wit and charm. Baseball and music merged in 1977. Linda Ronstadt stands ready to sing the national anthem before Game 3 of the World Series at Dodger Stadium, blending pop culture with the national pastime in a memorable moment. Meet the real woman behind the brand, born into slavery. In 1834, Nancy Green became a wealthy advertising superstar in 1893, using her talents to make the Aunt Jemima character a household name across America. Complexity is beautiful in this 1948 photo by Berenice Abbott. It captures a woman painstakingly wiring an IBM computer, highlighting the manual labor and precision required to build the early machines that launched the digital age. Nature's fury reshaped the landscape on May 18, 1980. Mount St. Helens erupted, blowing off 1,300 feet of its summit and leaving a massive horseshoe-shaped crater, permanently altering the geography of Washington state. Adventure touring in 1914 looked like this. A tourist parks his car right at the precarious edge of the Grand Canyon in Arizona, capturing a breathtaking view without the safety barriers we rely on today. The connection between land and people is evident here. Members of the Blackfoot tribe are photographed in Glacier National Park in 1913, preserving their cultural heritage against the backdrop of the stunning American wilderness. Brace yourself for a blast from the marketing past. This is the original incarnation of Ronald McDonald, looking quite different from the clown we know today, featuring a cup for a nose and a tray hat. Two legends of the West stand together in 1873. James Butler Wild Bill Hickok poses with William F. Buffalo Bill Cody, capturing the rugged spirit and fame of the American frontier in a single portrait. You didn't always need a ticket to see the game in 1932. People gather outside Wrigley Field to catch a glimpse of the Chicago Cubs in action, showing the enduring popularity of baseball during the Depression. Even the father of psychoanalysis worried about his children. Sigmund Freud stands with his sons Ernst and Martin, who served in the Austro-Hungarian army during World War I, highlighting the personal anxiety behind a famous mind. Naval might is on display in Toulon Spring, 1941. The crew of the French battleship Strasbourg stands in formation on the deck, showcasing military discipline just before the fleet would face tragic destruction later in the war. Screen beauty is captured effortlessly. Here, this portrait features the stunning actress Jacqueline Bisset, whose elegance and talent made her an international star and a symbol of cinematic glamour during the height of her career. Trust your gear. A couple camps on a portaledge suspended in the air by a single solid bolt that holds them, their packs, and their lives, demonstrating the extreme faith climbers place in their equipment. The rugged life of the outdoors is shown here. Trappers and hunters pose in the Four Peaks country of Browns Basin, Arizona, capturing the grit and determination required to survive in the wild American West. The camera was a novelty to many in 1903. A woman reacts to having her photograph taken, for the very first time, her expression capturing a mix of amusement and wonder at the new technology. Life on the edge of the world. These habitable houses stood on the remote island of St. Kilda, Scotland, roughly 160 years ago, home to a resilient community that eventually had to evacuate their isolated home. Before she fought aliens, she was a high school student. This is Sigourney Weaver's yearbook photo from 1967, showing the future sci-fi legend long before she became the iconic Ellen Ripley in the Alien franchise. Age is just a number for these legends. Clint Eastwood at 93 and Jeff Bridges at 74 show that talent endures, proving that creativity and charisma do not fade with time in the entertainment industry. Winter's grip can stop a wonder of the world. In 1911, the mighty Niagara Falls is captured completely frozen over a rare and spectacular natural phenomenon that turned the rushing water into a sculpture of ice. The pursuit of beauty has seen some strange gadgets. This image shows a beauty treatment device for women from 1941, illustrating the bizarre and sometimes frightening lengths people have gone to in the name of vanity. Nature creates art in Brittany, France. A crashing wave forms a shape that looks eerily like the face of Poseidon visiting the shore. A perfect moment of pareidolia captured by the photographers. Lucky timing. Urban density required innovation in 1936. This elevator parking garage in downtown Chicago could stack 48 cars vertically, an early solution to city congestion that looks surprisingly modern compared to the automated systems used today. Dining in the 17th century had style. This Renaissance set of bone and iron knives fits perfectly into a unique trout-shaped case, showcasing the intricate craftsmanship and whimsical design valued by the wealthy of that era. Strength and motherhood combine in Japan. 1900s, a woman carries her children inside a bucket, balanced on her head, displaying incredible poise and physical endurance while managing the daily demands of family life in her village. Star power meets gratitude. In 1945, Marlene Dietrich is photographed kissing a soldier returning home from World War II, a moment where Hollywood glamour bowed to the bravery of those who served on the front lines. Camping has come a long way. This custom-built vehicle serves as a motorhome from 1922, showing early recreational travel and the ingenuity of travelers who wanted to take the comforts of home on the road. It was a timber giant built in 1905 and burned down in 1964. This structure in Portland, Oregon was known as the world's largest log cabin, a monumental tribute to the forestry industry of the Northwest. Sometimes the universe has a sense of humor. A man in 1966 experiences a perfect moment of visual irony captured in a candid shot that highlights the unexpected and funny coincidences found in everyday life. Merchandising knows no bounds. Here is a vintage electric toothbrush featuring the dynamic duo Batman and Robin, proving that pop culture characters have been used to sell mundane household products for decades to eager young fans. The tragedy of the Holocaust is documented here. This photo takes us inside the walls of the Warsaw Ghetto during the summer of 1941, offering a grim glimpse into the suffering imposed by the Nazi regime. Industrial history lies underground. This is the Gildersome Tunnel in the UK, a remnant of the railway age that now sits silent, serving as a reminder of the massive infrastructure projects that once powered the nation. Behold, a sacred survivor. The Ethiopian Bible, written on goat skin around the early 5th century, is the oldest and most complete Christian Bible on earth, preserving ancient scripture with remarkable clarity after so many centuries. Catching a legend in action is rare. This is the only picture of Concorde flying supersonic, taken from an RAF Tornado in 1985 that struggled to keep up with the incredible speed of the passenger jet. The land war in Ireland was brutal in 1888. Police use a battering ram to forcibly evict a tenant from their home, illustrating the harsh realities of property disputes and civil unrest during that turbulent period. Technology bridges a gap in 1975. Australia, a native man is photographed using a telephone to speak for the very first time, capturing a poignant moment of connection between traditional life and modern communication tools. Transport in old Japan had a hierarchy. Coolies carry a geisha in a keigo, known as the mountain taxi of the era, showcasing the manual labor required to transport the elite through difficult and steep terrain. A Child's Love Ignores Protocol in Wait for Me, Daddy, taken in 1940, a young boy reaches out to his marching father in New Westminster, Canada, creating one of the most famous images of wartime separation. Advertising norms have shifted drastically. These posters from the 1950s and 60s show concepts that would be considered shocking by modern standards, revealing how much societal values regarding gender and health have evolved over the decades. Before the dangers were fully understood, the atomic age was a trend in the 1950s. Radioactivity was often portrayed as a modern and exciting innovation, appearing in products and toys before the health risks were known. Escape is the only option. In 1991, a truck flees the massive cloud of ash and pyroclastic flow from the eruption of Mount Pinatubo, capturing the desperate race for survival against the overwhelming power of nature. Meet a hairy record breaker. Linus, the Oregon long-haired wild wonder horse, boasted a 14-foot mane and a 12-foot tail in the late 19th century, becoming a famous spectacle that drew crowds to marvel at his hair. Practice makes perfect. Soldiers or athletes are seen here training on wooden horses, using the static equipment to perfect their form and technique before attempting the real challenges required in their rigorous physical training programs. Beauty pageants used to get specific. In the 1930s, contestants masked their faces to have only their eyes judged in this unique competition, focusing entirely on one feature rather than the overall appearance of the women. Duty rises above hate. An African-American policeman protects a member of the Ku Klux Klan during a demonstration exemplifying professionalism and a commitment to law and order that transcends personal feelings and deep racial prejudice. Safety gear requires testing. This image shows a man testing the durability of a rubber helmet in a very direct way, illustrating the practical, if somewhat primitive, methods used to ensure sports equipment was actually safe. Poverty is timelessly heartbreaking. This photograph by Oscar Gustav Raylander, titled Homeless Boy, documents a street child in 1860 using early photography to shed light on social issues and the plight of the poor in Victorian times. Before he piloted the Millennium Falcon, he was just a guy in a kitchen. Harrison Ford is captured here in a candid moment from the late 70s, looking relaxed before Star Wars launched him into superstardom. This is a desperate race against death. In 1967, a utility worker gives mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to a co-worker hanging from a pole after contacting a low-voltage wire, a dramatic moment known as the kiss of life. Catch a glimpse of the real person behind the title. Princess Diana is photographed here, unposed and unexpected, in the early 1980s, revealing the natural charm and grace that made her the beloved people's princess. Celebrate freedom with a president on October 28, 1936. Franklin Delano Roosevelt delivers an address on the 50th anniversary of the Statue of Liberty, reaffirming the nation's commitment to the ideals she stands for during the Depression. Rural poverty in 1936 was stark. This is a one-room house located on the Collins Forest and Game Reservation between the Tennessee and Cumberland Rivers, illustrating the difficult living conditions faced by many during the Great Depression. The sky tells the story of the battle above St. Paul's Cathedral in 1940. Contrails mark the chaotic path of a dogfight between the RAF and the German Luftwaffe, turning the air itself into a war zone. Stroll through Victorian London. Pedestrians walk past Nelson's Column in Trafalgar Square around 1890, capturing the hustle and bustle of the capital city at the height of the British Empire's global power and influence. The archivist becomes the subject. Otto Ludwig Bettmann, founder of the famous archive, captures a moment at the Italian Grand Prix in 1966 turning his lens on the world he spent his life documenting for future generations. Hollywood friendships shine in the sun. Bette Davis and Joan Blondell share a smile during a beach shoot for Three on a Match. In 1932, offering a glimpse of the camaraderie behind the scenes of the Golden Age. Quiet resilience defines this scene. A farmer and his wife share a simple evening meal at their kitchen table in Marshall, Texas, 1939, capturing the dignity of everyday life despite the economic hardships of the time. Playtime adapts to the environment. Children of a farmer play with dolls inside a massive tumbleweed beside a wagon in Smithland, Iowa, 1936, showing how kids found joy and toys in the bleak landscape of the Dust Bowl. The school day ends in 1941. Children in Norfolk, Virginia put on their coats as they prepare to head home from a public school, capturing a routine moment of childhood innocence just before the U.S. entered the war. Hardship is visible in the details. In Ringgold, County, Iowa, 1937, a farmer's daughter holds her brother in a room with peeling wallpaper and patched bedding. A poignant portrait of poverty in the American heartland during the Depression. Tradition meets labor in Chamisal, New Mexico. In 1940, two young girls are photographed mixing adobe plaster, by hand preserving the architectural techniques of their ancestors while contributing to the construction of their community's buildings. Video calling isn't new. In 1964, Japanese telephone operators in Tokyo demonstrate the new view phone developed by Toshiba, a futuristic concept that predicted the digital communication tools we use on our smartphones every single day. A star in the making. A young Denzel Washington serves as an honorary police chief during a boys' club trip to a New York police station in the 1960s, long before he became a celebrated Hollywood actor. The King Commands the Room. Elvis Presley performs for a rapt audience of teenagers during the 1950s, capturing the electric energy and cultural shift that rock and roll brought to the youth of post-war America. Fads were tight in the 1950s. Teenagers participate in phone booth stuffing, trying to cram as many people as possible into the small glass box. A bizarre but popular craze that defined high school humor of the era. Gravity takes over at Coney Island. Fairgoers are pinned to the wall of the spinning rotor ride in the 1950s, enjoying the centrifugal force in an attraction that became a staple of amusement parks across the country. See how the other half lived. Immigrant lodgers are crowded into a New York tenement in 1888, highlighting the city's housing crisis and the difficult conditions faced by those arriving in America in search of a better life. Commuting has a vintage look. Riders take a trip on the New York subway during the 1960s, capturing the daily grind of city life and the diverse faces of the passengers traveling beneath the bustling streets. Patrol cars had style. Back then, this is a Lincoln Tunnel police vehicle monitoring traffic in New York during the 1950s, showing the unique design of service vehicles that kept order on the city's busy roads. The weekly shop was a family affair. A family pushes a cart out of a supermarket in the 1950s, representing post-war consumerism and the rise of the modern grocery shopping experience that changed how we buy food. Surf's Up in Southern California. These surfers from the 1960s capture the laid-back beach culture of the decade, posing with their boards before hitting the waves that made the West Coast a legendary destination for the sport. Feel the energy of the crowd. Fans watch Elvis Presley perform on stage in the 1950s, captivated by the rock and roll icon whose charisma and music defined a generation and changed the entertainment industry forever. Compassion survives conflict during World War II. In Paris, a lady stops to feed a homeless cat, a small act of kindness amidst the occupation that shows humanity's enduring love for animals even in the darkest times. Teenage habits never change. A girl chats on the telephone in 1944, keeping up with her social circle, proving that the desire to stay connected with friends is a universal part of growing up in any era. Life in an industrial town is simple but tough. A steelworker's young daughter drinks water from a dipper in her kitchen. In Pittsburgh, 1940s, a candid moment reflecting the modest lifestyle of working-class families in America. Nutrition was part of the curriculum school children line up to receive their free milk at school in the 1960s, a government initiative designed to improve child health that became a daily ritual for millions of young students. Multitasking is a mother's skill. A housewife in Rye, New York, brings her baby along to the hairdresser in 1947, balancing her personal care with childcare duties in a relatable scene of everyday mid-century domestic life. Discipline begins. Here, Air Force recruits stand in formation at the Lackland Air Force Base in Texas, 1951, showcasing the rigorous training and order instilled in young men preparing to serve their country during the Cold War. City kids find their fun children enjoy a playground in New York City in 1926, using the urban space to play and socialize, proving that joy can be found anywhere, regardless of the surrounding concrete environment. Education is a precious resource. A barefoot child reads his book intently at a school in southeast Missouri Farms, 1938, demonstrating a deep hunger for learning despite the evident poverty and lack of resources in rural America. In Athens, 1944, past meets present. Two British soldiers gaze at the ancient caryatids on the Acropolis. During a brief respite from the war, modern warriors stood face to face with the ruins of antiquity, contemplating history while making it themselves. In Bahia, 1860, inequality is stark. A wealthy woman is carried through the streets in a litter borne by two enslaved men. This stark image illustrates the deep social stratification of imperial Brazil, where human labor was used as a literal vehicle for the elite. In San Francisco, 1942, a plea goes unheard. A Japanese-American shop owner hangs a sign reading, "I am an American," on his storefront. Despite his plea for patriotism, he was soon forced to liquidate his business and report to an internment camp, a victim of wartime hysteria. In Poland, 2020, history repeats its strength. Modern special forces stand alongside reenactors in winged hussar armor. This visual contrast spans centuries of military tradition, linking the legendary heavy cavalry of the past with the advanced tactical gear of today's soldiers. In Glasgow, 1868, the city is crowded. Families crowd into the dark, narrow alleyways of a tenement slum. In the shadow of the Industrial Revolution, the poor lived in squalor, highlighting the grim cost of progress in one of the Victorian era's busiest cities. In the United States, 1955, cycling gets an upgrade. A shiny Huffy bicycle features a built-in radio tank on the frame. This cutting-edge toy allowed kids to cruise the neighborhood while listening to rock and roll, blending the freedom of cycling with the golden age of radio. In the United States, 1890, a woman takes aim. Sharpshooter Annie Oakley poses with her rifle, challenging gender norms. Believing women belonged outdoors just as much as men, she became a superstar of the Wild West shows, proving that skill and aim knew no gender boundaries. In the western United States, 1870, the journey pauses. Settlers pause their wagon train for a momentary rest on the dusty trail. Surrounded by vast wilderness, this group of pioneers and cowboys catches their breath before continuing the arduous months-long journey toward a new life. In Washington, D.C., 1922, winter descends. A blanket of snow covers the capital streets as vintage automobiles trudge through the drifts. The winter storm slowed the rhythm of the city, turning the political hub into a quiet, frozen landscape captured in black and white. In London, 1903, childhood is hard. Two young children sit on a dirty curb in Spitalfields. Wearing tattered clothes and worn boots, their solemn expressions reflect the harsh reality of childhood in the East End slums, where survival was a daily struggle. Finally, look at Hollywood in 1955. Audrey Hepburn smiles while preparing food in her private kitchen. Away from the glamour of the silver screen, this candid shot reveals the domestic simplicity enjoyed by one of the world's most elegant and beloved film stars.